Rise for the pledge.
Sorry.
Everybody up.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. First item we have is, are any public comments, questions concerning today's agenda? State your name, please, so that you can stay there and set. Go ahead.
My name is Pike County and Milford, 55 Milford July. I want to speak about the point number 3 on the agenda. I think I sent you an email last week, and basically I do not agree that we should do proclamation based on people's sexual sex line lifestyles. I think it's once you do this, then you have to do it for other people, which means if you do a Pride Month proclamation for LGBT group, you have to do it for the heterosexual also. And I would suggest that you do another proclamation in August that gives other people a chance to celebrate their pride also. And otherwise, I would recommend that you change the proclamation to a love and respect proclamation, which completely should change the atmosphere and do not divide population in different groups. So I'm not happy about this proclamation for 5 months in Pike County.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Patrick McCarthy, resident of Milford, Pennsylvania. And this also regards population number 3. I don't see where it's necessary in order to go ahead and fly another flag for an entire month when we have the United States American flag that, as we had the opening in the Pledge of Allegiance, it definitely encompasses everybody. If you were going to go ahead and do something like that, like the gentleman alluded to, you would probably have to have heterosexual or whatever. A lot of places that I see, when the pride flag goes up, there is diversity automatically put in, because if somebody doesn't go along with it, then they are being racist, bigoted, or whatever. I believe that the United States flag is good enough for all of us, and especially for all those people who have served in the wars that made this flag possible. And, you know, veterans get 1 day. Jesus Christ only gets 2 days. I believe that there's other things that we can do that encompasses the entire community, such as keeping the American flag and not flying any other flags that cause a diversity or a rift with the community. Now, we've always been accepting of everybody and anybody that comes here. I'm a member of St. Patrick's Church. We also are accepting of everybody and anybody who wants to go to church. I don't see where there's a reason why we should fly a special flag for an entire month in order to go ahead and recognize a special group of people. I believe the United States flag, as I said before, in our opening, when we pledge allegiance to the flag, it says it all.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Carrie Williams. I'm a member of Pike County, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I agree with the other two gentlemen that spoke, and actually I'd like to present an alternative. I'd like to present the alternative of Love and Respect Day, that loving and serving all members of our community in the foundation of a healthy society. Pike County encourages its citizens to practice love and respect towards every person, and I sincerely believe that every person in this room deserves my love and my respect. Love your neighbor and keep Pike County a wonderful place to live. I think that would be a wonderful way to embrace everyone. We're not leaving anyone out. And I have to say, though, that to have Pride Day, or Pride Month, I would be incorrect if I didn't bring up also that there is a larger cultural agenda. And what is happening is the legitimizing of LGBTQ doesn't come without delegitimizing anybody who has something other than legitimizing it. And right now there are 4 very dangerous bills in the House of Representatives you must be aware of: 1024, 1025, 1026, 1027. That would make it punishable by law if I were to say at a school board meeting, speak out against what I believe to be the indoctrination of children in a particular lifestyle. I really think the government has no business in celebrating one lifestyle above the other. And I just really encourage you to please consider, rather than holding up one lifestyle, which admittedly has received persecution, how about we love and respect everyone? So that's my proposal to you.
Anyone else?
My name is Teresa Brown. I'm a citizen of Pike County. And I think what we're seeing a great deal of is tyranny of a minority. And when we have elected officials who are upholding the Constitution as it was written to protect against tyranny of a minority. We're not seeing the voice of the people. What we're seeing is a voice of small groups of outspoken individuals. We're seeing behaviors of leadership that is highly questionable. And some of us, when I say the word questionable, I might mean that some people wonder who's paying who to make decisions that are against the will of the people. I think a situation like this, a question like this, is of great concern to the community, and the entire community should be involved in decisions of this nature. That's the way America was created. Something like this, maybe it doesn't meet some guidelines for a vote, but it's not something that one or two or a handful of people should be making a decision like this for the entire community.
Anyone else? Okay. No one else? Okay.
I guess I did have a question there. Hello, my name is Jean Garro. I just didn't know what the resolution would do, what it accomplishes, just so I know. Do you just state it for today, and then how is it used?
It is to bring awareness to hate and intolerance in our community. And I'll speak to it more later.
Okay, I guess also I didn't know when I read in the part about 14th Amendment, I pulled up the 14th Amendment and I didn't see the words that you had in your resolution exactly stated in the 14th Amendment. So I didn't know how those words were chosen. It doesn't say exactly what you say for the 14th Amendment. Who prepares the document?
There's a joint effort.
A joint effort, okay. I think that if we
we're going to use the terminology LGBTQ+. I would like to have it spelled out because I don't think everyone knows. If we're trying to end the hate and intolerance, I would ask that if I don't really even know what the new terminology is. Could you tell me what they stand for? LGBTQ+. What does the plus mean? I'm not aware.
Yeah, so, hi. So LGBTQ plus stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and the plus is meant to be encompassing of other people who identify as non-heterosexual or cisgender, but they don't identify with those specific words. So like gender non-conforming, non-binary, etc.
I guess I was just thinking for the whole community, since you're making this resolution for the entire Pike County, that, you know, not everyone like me might not be aware of all of that. And if you're going to make it in the resolution, that it should be more clear that all of those things are being encompassed. Because when I read the article in the newspaper and it was brought up about, you know, a white heterosexual man came to their community and asked that maybe they would do a resolution. If we're going to put all of those descriptions into the resolution, then we might also put, like one of the other speakers spoke about, all the people, the white heterosexual too, because I'm feeling that it's coming down on everyone, the hatred. So I would like to have all of the things that he recommended in that LGBTQ+, and also all people, like we said, love and respect and hope for all the people in Pike County. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Speak. Matthew Contreras. So I wasn't going to say anything until the chairman here said, I don't know what it means. So he's going to vote on something that he doesn't know what it means. And I think that's part of the problem here today. LGBTQ+. The Constitution protects everybody. And that's what we need to remember today. And if you don't know what LGBTQ+ means, then you shouldn't be voting on it. Then you shouldn't be voting. I'm not looking to speak, okay? If you want to chime in afterward, you can do that, okay? If you don't understand what the plus means, then you shouldn't vote on a resolution that you don't have any clue about, especially when you know darn well how divisive the topic is in the community. The plus sometimes means minor attracted persons, or the more common term, pedophile, okay, has been included to use that term. And you guys can shake your head no and all the rest of it. It also means other sexually deviant behaviors that the rest of society may or may not conform to. So my problem with this resolution is very simple. As I said before, the Constitution protects everybody. If you want to guarantee that people are protected, you should have a Constitution month, not a Pride month. You should have a celebration of, let's say, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment. Have that month. But no, you decided to have Pride month for some reason. And the reason is you continue to pander. Okay, you pandered before, you're pandering now. It took the Second Amendment sanctuary, I think, 4 years before you would even consider their proposal. After phone call, prodding, and only when it suited you for re-election did you then decide to bring it before the county. Only then. And now you want to celebrate Pride. What is Pride? Everyone in here is American. I don't begrudge anybody
what they do in the privacy of their bedroom. I thought that's where we were. 20 years ago, that's what we were talking about. We just want to be left alone to do what we want to do in the privacy of our bedroom as Americans. I still feel that way. I want to be left alone to do what I do in the privacy of my bedroom. It's my right as an American. I think you should all be entitled to do the same thing. I really do. Bringing these type of resolutions to the community only further divides the community. That's all it does. So we're giving the people on the very extremes what they want, which is more tribalism, which is more division. And that's not what we should be doing. What we should be doing is celebrating what the real pride is in this country, which is that we're all Americans, and that we have something to be grateful for, and that we have something to be prideful for. And I think even we can agree on those types of things, even though we disagree on many, many things. And so my question to the commissioners is, why not celebrate those things? Why not talk about those things more?
Just comments. We're having a debate.
They don't have to answer the question. All right. I know you want to be the fourth commissioner or counselor, but there's only three. So my question rhetorically is, why not celebrate those things? Why not celebrate those things? And I wish everybody a happy day. That's all.
Anyone else?
Hi. I got an email from Diversity saying that they need support. That's why I'm here. I didn't know exactly what was going on. Apparently it's about a flag. I don't understand even why we're here, because what is the big deal about a flag if people feel better about it, if people feel more protected about it? The Constitution is wonderful. I do think it needs to be updated, but I think it's wonderful. But it's not protecting these people, and it's not protecting a lot of people. So something's got to be done. It can't be just the American flag, which is also not protecting people. They have a right to feel good about themselves. They have a right to feel that they don't have to be worried about going down the street and getting bullied. And is there anybody here that was never bullied in their life? I know I was, just because I was Jewish. You know, this is ridiculous in my opinion. And I'm sorry, I know you're hearing a little anger, but this is about respect. And if someone feels better about having a flag, is it the money? We'll all chip in. I mean, this is, I don't get it. I just don't even understand how people have to decide, oh, should we respect someone or should we not respect someone? They need to be respected, just like everybody in this room needs to be respected. Everybody. Yes, everybody.
One at a time.
No matter what. No matter what. And I just, give them a flag. If it makes them feel better, I don't understand, you know, and I'm not sitting where you are. I understand that. I'm not sitting where you are. I don't understand what the big deal is. And I hope to God it's not money, because that's a ridiculous reason. Everybody here should not be scared of being killed and bullied and ridiculed and ostracized. No one should feel that way. Give them the flag.
Gentlemen, to that point, we have some police officers here.
Can you
Is
say
there
your
a
name?
high,
Just tell your name, just for the record. That's all.
Dave Ballston.
Okay, that's all.
Is there a high rate of gay bashing in Milford? And do you think that by putting a flag up, it's going to stop it? That's all what I think. I'd like to know if there's such a big amount of gay bashing going on that we need to put some kind of flag up that's going to miraculously stop.
The same thing I said to that gentleman that took shots at me. It's just comments. There's not question and answer.
Okay, so it's just
Later
something
on,
to think about.
after we go through public comment, okay, but now it's just comments.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? I'd like to say something.
My name's Mike McIntyre. I'm an attorney here in Milford, also lives in the borough. I don't think that the LGBTQ plus community here today is saying, you know, we want special treatment, or we want this, or we want that. The reality is that their sect of the community has higher suicide rates than the rest of the community. They go through harder times in school than the rest of the community because they look different, because they act different, and maybe because they like members of different sexes or same sexes or whatever sex they choose. Putting the flag up shows them that we stand with them regardless of what they choose to do or how they choose to behave or how they choose to look. If you're a member of this community, you'll be supported. It's not to put down the police, it's not to put down anybody else, it's to uplift members of our community who quite frankly need it. You know, we've gone so long where it's had this stigma that, you know, it's wrong, or it's this, or it's that, and they get bullied more than everybody else, whether we want to believe it or not. It's what the statistics show. So I think putting the flag up would be a great thing for the month. It's not about the white heterosexual. It's not about saying they're not this or they're not that, or they don't deserve this or they don't deserve that. It's about they have a different experience going through life than a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And just saying they don't, because we have an American flag and it protects everybody, doesn't mean that it actually does. Saying it doesn't make it true. The truth is that they are discriminated against in various different ways, much more than the white heterosexual. And putting that flag up there shows them that we stand with them, whether we agree with them or not, that we stand with them, that they are welcome, that they are accepted, and especially in light of the Proud Boy stuff that we had going on outside the school. I mean, that's here in our community. And if we don't show those people that we stand with our LGBTQ plus community, that we stand with the African Americans, that we stand with the Jewish folk in our community, then that Proud Boy stuff's going to fester. And is that really what we want in Pike County? Thank you.
Two more, and then we got, we'll be here a long time. And I don't care, I'll be here all.
I'll probably take up the time for the 2 people. Just kidding. My name is Pastor Eddie Pinero, pastor of a church here in Milford, Calvary Chapel of Milford. And the reason why I'm here, you never see me on protests. You never see me out in the rallies, because I believe my place is to be a pastor to a community in which I love you. And I've been living here in Pennsylvania for 10 years. I'm a retired New York City police officer. I worked in New York City as an NYPD officer. I'm now a chaplain for the Pennsylvania State Police, because that's been my heart, to help people spiritually. It's been my heart to be a spiritual leader in this community. My wife and I, not too long ago, we went to the Knob and we prayed for our community. We prayed for all. After I just received word that this was going to take place, at first I didn't want to be, like I said, a part of it. But the one thing that stood out was that the LGBT community felt threatened by a church. Now, when we say church, we think all churches are included in that. I stand here to let you know that that is not from my church, and that's not from my heart, because that's not the God that I believe in. I believe in God, which is a Jewish God, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I believe in the Son, Jesus Christ, as the Mashiach, the Messiah. And everything in the scriptures, from Genesis all the way to Revelation, all 60 books, speaks of love. And we're here. I stand with you. If anyone says they want to, they hate you and they threaten your life, that is not what Christ teaches. Christ teaches love, unity. With that said, I see that there are photos here with a flag behind each and every one of you. Now, I don't know you personally, but I've been here before, and I've opened up in prayer because my heart again is for the community, for the better of all. And I think, all of us as a community, as those residents of Pike County, should have a say. And this should be kind of, towards the majority, if you ask. But if that's not the case, then we had a star that just hung up on the mountain, the hill there, during Christmas. It was taken down. Why? Because it was a Christian symbol. Christianity does not have. And as much as we say some has been victims, and my apologies for that, regardless of whether you're a believer in Christ or not, I think it's wrong. That is not what I voice. I voice peace and love. But in the same way, we need to be fair. There needs to be maybe a day for Christianity. Maybe there should be a Christian flag hanging. So in the same way, we say the separation of church and state, we know that's a misunderstood statement. It doesn't mean that we don't include God. Our founding fathers were Christian. But Christianity has been persecuted well before the Bible was even fully canonized. And so we all have been persecuted. I find there's bad people. Let me tell you, I pastored a church for many years. Even when I was in law enforcement, I was a pastor and a police officer at one time. You know, and we see problems with all people. I tell you, I'm a pastor. You know, because there's problems even in the church, it's because of why? People. That's why we go to church. That's why we go to hospitals. That's why we go to gyms. But I think as a community, we need to first think about the creator of the universe, who loves all people. Yes, not everything we love is good. Not everything we love is good. And we use love loosely to understand what really love is. But we talk about the love of God, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believeth in him shall not perish. And we're talking about a life after the life you live now. And I stand here as a believer in Christ. Yes, I believe what the Word of God says. That homosexuality is a sin before God. And I know many have misrepresented that. But God loves the homosexuals. He refuses to leave us all that way. I was a murderous at heart. I was a person full of sin. But because of Jesus Christ, he loved me. And I was no perfect. God doesn't love me more than he loves the LBG community. He loves us all equally. But God created us for a reason, a purpose, and the way God has beautifully and fashionably designed you out of his glorious image. That is the image that we should be in. Everybody has that free will. God created us free moral agents. We choose. He doesn't force himself on you. But God loves you. And I'm here as a pastor saying that I don't stand with Christians that promote hate, violence, and threat. That's why you rarely see me at any of the rallies and community and the protests. Because I speak of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I stand as one of those Christians that want to pray and love the LGBT community, even though we do disagree on what the Bible has to say and what God calls it and what it is. But I stand here as a pastor in this community. I continue to pray and serve in this community. And I love you all. I'll continue to pray for you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I wasn't planning to speak when I just came. But, I had my daughters here when we were passing by, and I had a marker and I put something together based on what I was hearing. And I just want to start off by saying thank you to the commissioners for dealing with issues that affect the community. And secondly, I want to say thank you to every person in here, regardless of how you feel and your experience that you've had. Because I'm here to tell you we respect you and love you. You know, that's part of being a good neighbor and trying to move our community forward. None of us here, I believe, would throw a rock at each other. I believe that we would support each other. Because the reality is this, I have news to say, everybody in the family has someone who has chosen a different lifestyle. Everyone here has chosen a way of life which is independent. The issue that I have is the relationship between government and those freedoms that they represent, because pride, the word pride, is a sin. Well, and it has nothing to do with LGBTQ. If you would have said Christianity pride, I would tell you the same thing. What it really is about is respect and love for each other. It was mentioned, and I wrote it down because I felt very important that it relates to every single person in here. Love and respect of community. Love and respect of your neighbor. Love and respect when someone is in time of need, you help them. Love and respect when someone's being attacked, you defend them because you love and respect your community. Now, I will tell you, if something like this goes through, not because of what it means as far as sexuality or anything, I could kill everything. But just know that there's gonna be more requests for things that will divide this community. For example, you're gonna have groups coming up here that want this month for, Christianity, this month for heterosexual families, this month for, it really opens up a Pandora's box, in my opinion, my humble opinion. So while we love our neighbors and respect our neighbors, I believe that if we as Pike County adopt a love and respect month, which means that we hold each other's hands, we'll just stand next to each other and say, hey, we love you. Now, the other thing is this, as I'm looking at the speakers, I'm also analyzing the audience, and there are people who are rolling their eyes and being disrespectful and that type of thing. Guess what, we still love you. You may not love us, but we love you. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. If I can have your attention, please. We're going to speak to this first and change our agenda because obviously there's a number of people here on both sides of this. It is not our intention to create more divide in the community. It's our intention to bring people together. It's our intention to make sure that if we can help a segment of our community to feel safer, to feel better about being in this county, that we would like to do that. I had an exchange with Pierre Tardy that opened my eyes a little bit. And I heard it again today. And the one thing that I'm going to advocate doing is to change the title of a resolution to Love and Respect Month. I believe that is far broader reaching, and I think it's respectful, and I think it makes more sense for us. We do not want to create division. We do not want to create division. We want to create inclusion. And I think we can accomplish both with some little word changes with similar meanings. So that I'm speaking for myself, not from that. That's my own voice for myself, and I can feel the tension, and I don't want the tension. I'm not caving. But I'm saying, don't laugh. Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Yeah, we all need to be respectful. These are really hard decisions. They look honest and complete.
This is a hard decision, and because we want to make sure that the community knows that we respect all, and that's really what we're trying to do, and that's why we were considering doing this in the first place.
So we sat here last month, and many of you were not here, and I'm just going to tell you that I have a real problem hearing from people in the community, regardless of what group they belong to, whether it's LGBTQ plus group, or whether it's the Jewish community, or when I hear from African American family. You weren't here last month to hear the stories about people being targeted in this community. So if anything, what's happening here today is at least we're all together talking about this. This is happening here. I even said at the meeting, I don't live in a bubble, but I was not aware of that. I was not aware that this population felt threatened walking down the streets of Milford. Now we can say, has there ever been any police reports of this? It doesn't matter, because that I didn't ask them last month or last week, because that's the stigma of being concerned about going to the police department. So if this is happening in our community, when I sat, I will relive the story of me and my wife sitting at the community house 2 weeks ago listening to the music when a young woman came up with a little baby and her 2 children who moved here from Queens, and their black family. They're sitting there talking to me, and they have a cute little baby. My wife is looking at them, and we're talking. We say, "Oh, isn't this cute?" Whatever. And I said, "Oh, where do you live?" She says, "Oh, I live such and such. I'm not going to tell you where because I don't want to identify this person." And I said, "Oh, that's really nice." She says, "You know, we can't wait to move out of here." I was like, "Why?" She says, "Because her son, who's 14 years old, I thought the kid was going to start to cry. In school, he is being targeted and being called names. And the name that he was told when he moved into this area when he got to school was, the kid said to him, 'Well, tomorrow I think we're going to bring the whip in.'" What do you think that says to me as a leader in this community? Am I supposed to just turn my back on that and say, "Oh, this doesn't happen, I shouldn't be concerned about it"? I apologize to the woman, and I apologize to the other women. This is terrible. I never knew this occurred here. I've lived here for 50 years. I went to school here. I never remember that happening. Patrick, you went to school with me. You ever remember that happening? No, nothing like that, right? Something has changed in our community, and something has to be said about it. Whether I go with wrong, I wrote that as somebody said that. Maybe it was Patrick. Love and respect. I don't take this lightly to do this, but at the same time, I don't sit here as a community leader and try to put people in segments and say, "Okay, they're a minority. I don't care about them." Then at that meeting, we also listened to a woman sit here talking about she's of the Jewish faith, where her son was targeted on the school. I don't ever remember that either. Right? So there's something going on in our community, and if we're thinking that we should just ignore it, we're absolutely all wrong. When you read our resolution, we talk about all human beings in here. Obviously, this was brought to attention to us by Triversity and by that organization. They're the ones who created this day in 1968 or whenever it was done, right? So it's not like it's something new. And as Tony, I don't know where the flag thing came from. Nobody's putting a flag up on the commissioner's office, okay? That's never been mentioned here. What we're talking about is we're talking about hate. We're talking about hate in our community. Is that what we all want to do? Do you understand that these individuals that are from Triversity feel hated in our community? Is that what we want? Does anybody here want to raise their hand and say, "That's good by me," because that's what's happening? And we as leaders of this community cannot sit here and ignore it. We can respect everybody who's heterosexual and everybody, but they're being singled out. I have many friends that fall into that. I feel terrible thinking that they're living a life where they're hated in a community that we have all loved to live here. I moved here as a kid. I never wanted to leave. I never had felt this, but now I guess I'm feeling it. It's no different than understanding that there's domestic violence. Well, it doesn't affect all of our lives, does it? But we know it's there. We don't ignore it, right? We have a month for it, don't we? Because it's that important. So, we can reword this. We're not looking to divide the community at all. I know they don't want to divide the community, but they want this to be inclusive. And for some reason, this is causing this type of discussion. Well, in my respect, this is a good discussion to have. We need to know that this is going on here. And if everybody thinks that Proud Boy flag was a good idea for our community, I don't even don't vote for me, okay? Do me that favor, do not vote for me. Because and if you don't think so, look up. Proud Boys, and think if that's a good sign for this community. I don't think so. So.
I just want to add, in fact, I was mainly responsible for bringing the proclamation here because it was brought to my attention. We all discussed it. Quite frankly, we didn't get it to the very end of May in terms of being able to meet together. There's a lot going on in May. So we said, you know what, we're not going to do it on June 7th. But the three of us agreed that we would hear from people. A number of people came here. A few of them are here today, but most of you who spoke were not here. Mr. Carty was. And quite frankly, we heard some sad stories about how children are being affected. How they're even being affected because they might happen to have two dads or two moms. That's not right. And a few people mentioned the idea that this is going to divide the community. Unfortunately, the community is already divided. We're trying to bring it back together to be more inclusive. And quite honestly, I believe a lot of this is the fault of some national politicians and some national media who have said it's okay to hate, who have preached the idea that if you're not like me, I don't have to respect you or like you. And we can't live that way. We don't want to live that way in Pike County. And I admit, the three of us all said, you know, maybe because of the circumstances we are in life, we are somewhat insulated. We're less insulated because we sit here and listen to people than some of the other people that I know in the community. But nonetheless, we needed to learn more here. And yes, this group of people, unfortunately, do not feel safe in our community today. And that Proud Boy sign, which in fact one of the Triversity members climbed up on the rocks to remove, put right across the street from our high school, Delaware Valley High School, was certainly an indication that there is hate in our community. Because the Proud Boys, one of their top agendas is anti-gay. It's also other anti-minorities, unfortunately, and anarchy. And we can't live with that. We don't want that in our community. And quite frankly, that was the main reason to try and include everybody. Can we broaden it? We want to. In fact, quite frankly, the message that came to us was a little more specific than we were comfortable with. So I rewrote some, Matt rewrote some. I think what Matt just explained to you, though, does it better than I could about why we were doing this. It wasn't to divide the community at all. You could say, well, we should have a heterosexual month. Heterosexuals do not get treated the way that gay people do. They do not. I'm sorry. You know, last year, we had to deal with a Second Amendment resolution. And it is true that came through in a couple different iterations over the years. But as a municipal solicitor, I dealt with that in several municipalities. The initial draft said that we're going to spend taxpayer money to fight the federal and state government. There's no way we could approve that. That's why it got shot down several times. Finally, that was taken out of there. And the idea was we acknowledge that we respect the rights of the people of the Second Amendment rights and all other Bill of Rights to the U.S. Constitution. Because quite frankly, even though I did not feel that was a minority that was being persecuted, since every time a case involving the Second Amendment goes to the Supreme Court, it's in favor of gun rights, nonetheless, it got adopted. And that's okay. But we don't call out everybody, we just try and respect everybody. And under the circumstances, I think doing this was a sensible thing to do. I will certainly defer to the idea that if we want to edit it a little bit, unfortunately we'll be out of the month of June next time we have a public meeting, which will be July 5th. But I will certainly go along with that plan, given the circumstances.
Okay. Couple more.
Can I speak as Traverse New York? Okay. Yes, my name is John Hellman. I'm a Pike County resident, and I'm also the Vice President of Advocacy for the Triversity Pride Center. And I'm also a local drag queen named Bill member, which is why I have this great name. So I wrote these under the impression that there were going to be no changes, and I would say before I read the statement that I would encourage you to support the statement as is and potentially do something else if there is enough people to request it for Love and Respect Month. I don't see how they're mutually exclusive, but I'll get into that in a second. So I'm here to support the recognition of June as Pride Month in Pike County, which would be the first time that this would happen in Pike County's history. The LGBT community, we are your neighbors. We work at local businesses you shop at daily. We serve you as elected officials. We are veterans. We are teachers. We entertain you as performers. We join you in fellowship as local religious services. We are parents of some of your children's classmates, and some of us are your children's classmates. We are a rich part of this community, and it's a beautiful day for our entire community to be able to say that the place that we live, the local government officials that we elect and that we vote for, recognize something so essential to our movement in our country's history. As it's been clear by sitting here, there are a lot of comments and conversations happening about why we recognize Pride Month. And I'd like to give a little bit of a brief history, and I promise that it's brief. So on June 28, 1969, bar patrons and neighborhood residents in the Greenwich Village area of New York City at the Stonewall Inn, which included homeless youth, lesbians, drag queens, trans-identified individuals, fought back against the unfair harassment at the hands of the police that LGBTQ+ people were commonly subjected to at the time. This event, known as the Stonewall Riots, sparked a 6-day uprising that led to the development of the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. In 1970, the first Pride March in New York City commemorated the Stonewall Riots, and in 1999, former President Bill Clinton was the first president to recognize the month of June as LGBTQ+ Pride Month, which was also later recognized by former President Barack Obama and current President Joe Biden. We honor and celebrate Pride Month as a reminder of the people before us that fought bravely to make sure that we could live in love according to our feelings, thoughts, and desires. They fought before us so that we could exist in public without police harassment and threats of violence from our neighbors. They fought before us so that we too could realize what has been afforded to us as Americans, which are certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And just think about what we specifically are fighting for. We are fighting for access to health care, equal treatment in public accommodations, equal protection and recognition under the law, the right to work and afford food and shelter, the right to bodily autonomy. How many of you are also fighting for these things? Because the truth is, if those in power can deny us these things, there's nothing stopping them from denying them to anyone. So you don't have to like the LGBTQ+ community. You don't have to set aside religious, political, or moral beliefs. You don't have to come to drag shows or march in our parades. But all of you should support us in celebrating Pride, because we are fighting for a better world for all of us, including you. And a simple recognition of that is a giant step towards making Pike County a nicer, more sustainable, safer, more beautiful, more fun, and affordable place for all of us. And I just want to address a little bit of the comments that have been said that have led to some of the conversations about changing this. I would be remiss to draw the comparison that if we were recognizing Juneteenth and the Pike County Commissioners, that there would be changes to accommodate people that support the institution of slavery. I would be remiss to say that if someone came here to honor Autism Awareness Month, that would be changed to support people who think autism does not deserve any recognition. I would be remiss to say that I would be really shocked if someone celebrated Black History Month, that people would be accommodated to support their white supremacist ideology and not recognizing Black Americans' contribution to our country. I also want to address this idea that this is tyranny of the minority. In actuality, the majority of Americans, and every poll shows an increase in this over time, support LGBTQ+ rights and recognition. And it's actually the tyranny of the minority that are now failed school board candidates and commissioner candidates that didn't get enough votes that are the minority that are trying to tyrannize the rest of us. And there was a comment about pedophiles. I don't know why they try to make this about LGBTQ+ people and drag queens, because every single peer-reviewed research study shows that overwhelmingly majority of pedophiles are heterosexual cisgender members that are related to the victims of the trials. So if you are so concerned about pedophiles, the call is coming from inside your house, not mine. And I also want to just lastly address the religious part. I went to Boston College. I went to Catholic school my entire life. I am not a priest, but I'm very studied in Christian and Catholic tradition. And just in case people didn't know, the Bible was originally written in Aramaic and Hebrew. There is no word for homosexuality as we understand it today in Aramaic or Hebrew. So there is no mention of homosexuality as we currently understand it in any original source document in the Bible. And in fact, homosexuality was included in the King James edition. I know this from memory because I'm that smart. It was included in 1944 when Germans included it in the King James Bible because at the time, the Nazi movement was interested in using Christianity to persecute not only Jews and gypsies and political opponents, but in persecuting homosexuals. So I would please urge all of my fellow Christians to actually read the Bible that you claim to support, because what you're quoting, it has nowhere to do with actually is in the Bible. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, whichever. All the
Before I apologize. I'll keep it super short. I just wanted to say, I know, obviously, and I apologize for my facial expression. The reason it's important, I think, to keep it as Pride Month is exactly what Commissioner said, is this community is being singled out. So you need to single out what we need to do to stand up for them. I think, let's have Pride, let's have Acceptance Day, let's have Constitution Day. There's no, it doesn't cost us money to make a proclamation. Let's do it all. It's not, equality is not pie. And I get this analogy wrong, but there's enough for everyone. Everyone can have their thing. It's okay. I do think it's really important, though, to say and name LGBTQ+ and Pride specifically, because that is specifically the community that is being targeted. And I think removing that would be a real loss to the community. We should all be acceptance, but the reason that this is divisive is not because, the reason it's divisive is because the community is facing hate, because the hate crimes are on the rise. The reason this room is full is because people do not want to see LGBTQ people represented and being Pride. That's why everyone carries here in the first place, is because there are no both sides when it comes to hatred. So we need to stand up, name what the problem is, and be very specific. This is about LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Let's also have Kindness Month. God knows we need it here. But this is a specific request for a specific community, and we shouldn't water it down because people are trying to muddy the waters. So that's my request.
I'd like to give my own personal views. I grew up, and I still feel this way today. What makes anybody in this room feels like the world owes you anything? And for as much as you say other people are looking you up, maybe that's different with people out there, myself. What do you do to us? What do we owe you? All right, I'm talking to the camera. What are we not suffering because of the abuse that we get in meetings? Why is there a month needed for anything? I don't understand that. Why is a month needed? And we don't need a month for this, for that. So let's all be happy. You know what? We should all respect each other, and the ones that are doing the bullying, then get them. Punish them. And it's coming from their families too, probably. But you know what? I don't think our whole community, county, should be held hostage to this, because I don't hate anybody, any of you.
Well, that's good to hear. That's very good to hear. So I think you wonder why we do proclamations. We do it for awareness. That's exactly what we get from it. Right? We do this for awareness so that people realize there's something going, as I said earlier, there's something going on in our community. I'm not here to cause more division in this community. I'm not here to divide you. I'm here to support you, and I'm here to support every single person in this room. But at the same time, if we don't think that hate is going on, that's not true. Okay, that is not true. That is going on here. So, my suggestion, and I know, and I'm not doing anything because I want to make sure that we unify this community between your group and the other groups that are here. Because I think what we heard is that some people didn't know there's hate going on. I told you that last week. I really think that we should just and I'm gonna say this, and I don't want applauding of this, because you know what? This is a serious issue in our community. This is not something to take lightly. I did not take this lightly. I think about this every night, because I get concerned that there's people in this community that are being targeted. Even if it's one person in this room being targeted, none of us in this room should stand for it. But I know that there are people that do stand for it. And there are people that like that flag on that mountain. So my suggestion is that we're going to table this. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about something that talks about love and respect for everybody. But what everybody in this room has to do is start thinking like we do about your neighbor and what we need, what they're going through in each day. You know, this whole thing of thinking that they're pedophiles, I mean, that's horrific. That's not true. And you all, most of you know that. But that's not true. But what we do know is that there are people in our community, as I mentioned to you, that young African-American boy who wants to move. He's only lived here for 6 months. He can't wait to get out. And his dad is saying to him, let's give him a little bit more time. And he's like, I can't give it any more time. And now it's summertime, so hopefully he'll have a nice summer. But can you imagine going to school and being that child? That's why we're here. And also for the people in this community. We have to recognize that they should not be persecuted. They should not be pointed. They should not lose any rights in the rest of us. So this is my suggestion, is that we talk with some other groups. We talk with Diversity some more. We talk to other organization in this community that wants to talk to us, the religious group, and how we come up with something that talks about love and respect in our community so that we all can make sure that we all live as kind neighbors. That's my Christian life. And I'm going to tell you about this. Yesterday, somebody attacked my Christian beliefs over this. Can you believe that? Because I didn't adhere to their Christian beliefs or full beliefs, they attacked mine. That's insulting to me. And it should be insulting to everybody here. We all have a right to think the way we need to think and come up with a solution to this problem. Because this is a solution, this is a problem that is running through our community. And just watch the news every night if you don't think it's happening. It may not be so strong here in Pike County, but it's certainly strong throughout this nation. So that's my recommendation. I would make that motion that we would table this and come up with, well,
You can get there, we're only at 12.
well, I can do that. Yeah, I can do it. I run the meeting.
Can I say one thing?
You can.
Gentleman said that there was nothing in the Bible.
Tell your name.
My name is Tim Nagels. I'm a resident of Pike County. If you look at Leviticus 18, verse 22, you shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. That's what the Bible says. So if you're a Christian or somebody went to Christian school or wherever they went, they should know Leviticus because it's a pretty important book. So just to correct the statement, it doesn't say homosexual, but it implies it. So there's sins of commission and there's sins of omission.
It's okay. We're going to move on to this. I'm making a motion that we're going to table this.
If I can just make one comment of thanks. I really believe that everybody who got up here to speak, from however that they feel, spoke respectfully and spoke about caring for their fellow neighbors. And I want to thank everybody who got up and spoke. I think it's helpful. It's educational for us to get some feedback from all angles. And we do want to do something to make this a better community for everyone. So I'm going to second the motion that you're going to make.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I am opposed. I'm going to work with the commissioners to try and refashion this. I just think that doing this during the month of June has some significance. And so for that reason, I do understand, and I think we do need to listen. I think we did that today in an effort to try and bring people together. And I will certainly work with them because we work really well together. We really do. I just felt that it was appropriate to try and do it at today's meeting. Thank you.
Okay. So just remember one thing. Love your neighbor. You got anything out of this today? Okay, so we're going to move on to real important stuff. Motion. Oh yeah, let's do that. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll get. I'm sorry. You guys will get. We're going to move to new business. Motion to. I think we got to do number one. Motion to approve the January 21st, 2023 agenda with that motion we just made. Okay, so
Motion.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna move on to new business. Motion to adopt resolution number 2330, Child Welfare Professionals Appreciation Week, June 5th to the 9th, 2023.
Motion? Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ron, can you read that?
Okay, here we go. Resolution number 23-30, Child Welfare Professionals Appreciation Week. Whereas the week of June 5th to 9th, 2023 has been proclaimed as Child Welfare Professionals Appreciation Week by Governor Shapiro, recognizing the efforts of child welfare professionals serving the children of Pennsylvania. And whereas every day in Pike County, children are at risk of child abuse and neglect and have been removed from their homes due to such abuse and neglect. And whereas Pennsylvania recognizes the risk and the need to protect the children in the Commonwealth. And whereas the challenging task of investigating child abuse, providing services to families, assessing safety, and providing services to ensure that Pike County's children are provided with nutrients, family connection, support as they transition into adulthood, and services that allow the child to remain safely in their home or return home as expeditiously as possible, falls to the child welfare professionals of Pike County Child Welfare System. Whereas the work of child welfare professionals may require them to enter into situations in which their personal safety may be put at risk. And whereas child welfare professionals work in difficult and emotional situations with children who have been victimized by physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, and other forms of maltreatment. And whereas the professionals of Pike County must develop great skill in working with families who are in crisis situations, struggling with mental health issues, suffering from drug and alcohol afflictions, poverty, and other difficult issues. And whereas child welfare professionals must develop substantial knowledge and skills surrounding the rights of families, the laws surrounding child welfare, how to develop culturally sensitive services, and legal processes governing the system. Whereas child welfare professionals selflessly undertake the endeavor to protect Pike County's children, often with long hours, tremendous demands, and with dramatic impact to their personal life. And whereas every year child welfare professionals are injured or killed in the pursuit to protect children across the United States. And whereas the lasting effects of COVID-19 pandemic and changes to the economic picture has created substantial challenge in the recruitment and retention of staff of child welfare agencies, while workload has continued to increase. And whereas innumerable injuries and deaths of children in Pike County have been averted due to the efforts of Pike County Children and Youth Services. Therefore, in special recognition of efforts in Pike County Children and Youth Services serving the children of Pike County, we, the Commissioners of Pike County, do hereby issue this resolution recognizing the staff of Pike County Children and Youth Services for their dedicated efforts in protecting the children of Pike County.
Thank you, Ron. We have some people here from Children, but we'll just speak to them first of how important that job is in our community and why those jobs are so important to protecting our children. So we wonder why we pass resolutions, just to give awareness to those individuals in our community. If anybody thinks that job is easy, they should just go upstairs and try to do it. Michelle, would you like to speak to this? Because we want to thank you all for what you're doing.
Caseworkers are hardworking, dedicated individuals who risk their lives daily to keep kids safe and to support our families, with the hopes that they will become better parents and thereby reduce the number of child abuse incidents that we face each year. This job would not be possible without the support of our community partners like PSP, the DA's office, and the CAC, who assist us when we need support in dangerous situations, as well as providing a safe place for a child to be interviewed. Our drug and alcohol liaison, our CASA, mental health and human services, who all support us and our families by helping our families to overcome drug addiction, homelessness, and mental health issues, which is often related to child abuse incidents that we receive. Our community churches and food pantries will allow us to freely gather food and give to our families in need, as well as ensure that our lives are a little better by providing us free of cost space that we need to do our trainings and activities to improve the families that we work with. Finally, thank you to our commissioners who have been our strong supporters
and are always willing to engage in conversations, even the uncomfortable ones, on how to improve the lives of the caseworkers. Our workers are placed in difficult situations daily. They persevere and push through simply because of their love of the job and their desire to see our children safe. We applaud their hard work. We support their dedication, and we hope that this small token of our appreciation will go a long way towards them feeling supported and will empower them to go out and continue the fight and improve the lives of our children and families in Pike County. Thank you.
Anyone else? We did. No, we did. Oh. Okay. Let's move back up to the top there. Motion to approve the June 7th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second. Motion second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the June 14th, 2023 conference minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment in the general fund of the county bills of $73,060.12.
Motion. And second.
Motion second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we gotta go back to that, right? Sorry. So we did the county bills. Motion to recess the commission meeting, the whole retirement board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to call the retirement board meeting to order.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the June 21st, 2023 agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the May 17th, 2023 minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the refunds of contributions to employees no longer with the county. There are 8 individuals listed.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following retirements. There's 4 individuals listed.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the salary board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the commission.
Motion. Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, old business. Motion to re-advertise rebids for the Bennett Avenue Building 1 interior recreation project. GC, general contractor, and the electric contractor.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to open bids for the Springbrook Road over Rattlesnake Creek Bridge replacement project.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
There's two bids. First one is from Milford, Inc., with Anderson and Valley Industrial Park. Their total bid, price bid items, $1,606,230. The second one is Springbrook Rutledge excavation. They're all lump sum bid items, $1,180,463. Obviously, that may be.
Yeah, we'll table them and get them reviewed by the engineer and award them on July 5th.
Yeah, actually with the additions, the total bid on Rutledge was $1,211,653. The total bid on the first one was $1,652,000. Additional cost, so it's about their total bid price, but with contingency, so it needs to be reviewed by the engineer.
I'll make a motion to table the bids on the bridge project.
I'll second it.
Until the July 5th meeting on the motion, second, any questions? All in favor? Okay, motion to authorize the chairman to execute change order number 1 for Bennett Avenue Building 1 roof replacement project.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute change order number 1 for the Pike County Courthouse exterior repairs project.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute the notice to proceed on the Pike County Jail Ice Building roof replacement project.
Motion. Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, number 2, motion to adopt resolution number 2331, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Pike County to utilize whole home repairs program funding as grants to homeowners.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, motion to approve the following human service payment vouchers on behalf of the Office of Human Services, Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERAP, $21,864.84. Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERAP 2.0, the amount of $36,353.13. Homeless Assistance Program, the amount of $3,156.65. And fair in the amount of $3,501.34.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to Frank DeIsh in the amount of $675 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to Gatehouse Media in the amount of $264.08 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Affordable Housing Fund payment voucher payable to Hailstone Economic in the amount of $625 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Children's Home of Easton and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Justice Works Youth Care and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Pathways Adolescent Center and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Community Service Foundation and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the purchase of service agreement between Hoffman House and the County of Pike on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to allocate $19,000 of Act 137 funding to Pike Autism Support Service for a local affordable housing study.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
So this is, I know we have members here from PASS. We have a check for you. This is the partnership of the county. This Act 137, so everybody understands, this funding comes from the recording of documents in the county. This is the same funding source that we use to fund Habitat for Humanity. This study is a long time coming to be able to develop housing programs for people that suffer from autism and also intellectual developmental disabilities. We met last week with PASS. We met with the person that they want to have do this study out of Texas, I believe. We were all impressed by what he's going to provide to PASS. This is a PASS contract, not a county project, so we all understand. But this is something that we, and particularly me, have been working towards for the entire time I've been in this office, is seeing that we provide better services for those that are suffering from disabilities. And that is both in employment opportunities, housing opportunities, and also medical services. So, Jean Marie, come up and get your check. You want to say anything?
No, Nick, did you want to say something?
Okay.
I'm the vice president of PASS. I've been the vice president for the past 2 years. John Passaro's here, he's the president. Jean Marie and John are the catalyst of this mission. I have been brought on board more recently with my experience as an attorney. We are very thankful to the commissioners, Ron, Matt, and Tony for everything that they've contributed. This is a great first step towards getting something on paper for what we're looking to do for members of our community with disabilities. We cannot thank the county enough. Thank you.
Thank you. As every month, we have the Penn State Extension calendar of events, and now we have Pocono Mountain Visitor Bureau here to give us our spring update. Chris is, there he is.
We delayed the meeting so you would get here.
Yeah, we heard you had trouble getting through construction.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'll truncate my presentation due to the hour and out of respect for everybody's time, but if I may take a point of personal privilege, I'd like to commend the Commissioners on their leadership. Today, the comments that you made, I just want to say, as a person, that I've seen you care for everybody in the community, all the way going back to COVID and how the commission and how you handle it as a board. And it was definitely something that, I always tell people that the Pike County Commissioners really are excellent for public servants. And I just want to say to PNP, we support you 1,000%. If there's anything we can do to assist in this process, please call us. Again, we appreciate your support of us and the community. I think your constituents are very well served. So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm going to really truncate this to say two things. Number one is we had a really strong first quarter. So as you may remember in the last presentation that we made, we weren't sure how this year was going to look after coming off the strong 21 and 22. First quarter was slightly ahead of, in total for the Pocono Mountains, slightly ahead of 22, which we were really actually very So what that really looks like is here you're seeing the tax for 23, 3.4 million versus 3.3 million. Again, it's very close, but we're looking at a year that hopefully might be better than 22, although we're not really sure of that yet. Also, too, our audit is completed for 22, which is completed for one letter from our legal counsel as is standard. Once we get that, we'll be able to tie that up and send it to the county as usual. It was a favorable opinion with two small notes that we have to change on internal controls coming up this year, but it was a clean audit. How that looked financially is this was 22 versus 21 as far as full hotel taxes and expenses. The one thing I really would like to point out in the expense line is that in total we spent 10.4 million on tourism promotion and marketing. We spent 13 in 22. So the additional revenues went right back into advertising, and that doesn't include the percentage of general and administrative and some other personnel expenses that could roll up into that line. So when we calculate all that, we spend 86% of our budget directly on marketing. One thing to do is to show you we did update Pocono Promise. As you may remember, we launched that program during the pandemic, and we decided to relaunch it again and reform it. And at our last Tourism Day Summit, we launched a new program. Is this connected, Brian? There are filters in it?
Should be able to put it
So I'd like to show you. Nope. Sorry, but it's like the computer. As you can see, I can't spell. Stress on the So here we go. So this is the new Pocono Promise 2.0, and anybody can, any of our members can can sign on to this new Pocono Promise program that has 4 main pillars: responsible tourism, healthy living, which kind of really ties into what our brand is, the outdoor processes of it, DEI, and workforce and career development. So, Brian, how many people do we have signed on so far? So anyway, that was a big step for us, and it took about a year for us to really kind of pull membership, stakeholders to really get to that. And we're encouraging all membership and all of our stakeholders to really kind of embrace that like they did the first Pocono Promise. And we're going to shoot some spots related to it to kind of reinforce it as we did the first Pocono Promise program. So the other thing I kind of wanted to do is just show just a little bit of our task. And first, the good news is that our, let me go back to that first. Okay. So our overall web data is incredibly strong. So for the month of May, we were up year over year about 33%. We're up 33%, and for the month we're up 17%. All of our other metrics are very, very strong. Our top emerging markets continue to be New York, Philadelphia, everyone really kind of falling behind. And top landing pages are refers, Google, and then our top landing pages are here to the right. Well, this is significant, and our organic numbers are significant, is because people still continue to see the Pocono Mountains as a viable, strong destination, especially with those uptick in numbers, which we're really, really thrilled about. And also, too, the brand's starting to resonate because they're typing it directly into Google, Pocono Mountains or Poconos, and referring to our site, which is really good. I really credit Brian that he's done a great job on our digital side. So, and also too, this is a very, very strong indicator. Our bounce rate is fairly low. So that means when people come on our website, they spend 121 seconds on it, they view at least 1.98 pages minimum, and we've got a lot more people who are being referred to, so that shows that the advertising is resonating. And also too, that people are interested in finding out more about the brand. I want to back up just a little bit. This. So as you may recall, some of my last presentations, we saw really, really strong growth in occupancy and ADR in our brick and mortar properties, and also our short-term lodging, which is really kind of interesting, is we're seeing some moderation now in occupancy in our brick and mortar properties and ADR. We're down 6.5% and 8.3%. The month-over-month change is still fairly strong comparatively. But this is kind of really interesting. Our short-term rental numbers, except for ADR, are up. So people may be migrating from brick and mortar properties to short-term rental, but the demand is still really there. But the rate is much higher. So the average rate that folks are paying for short-term rentals is $372 a month versus $294 a month. But look at this. This is supply, and room nights are significantly up. So there's way more choice out there for short-term rentals. It is up slightly here in brick and mortar. We're actually going to have more properties coming online with Great Wolf expanding almost double. And there's some other properties that are adding rooms too. That's really significant. So with the increase in supply, we still continue to have strong demand in short-term rentals. There's a little bit of work to do here, and that could indicate some softening going forward, but we're prepared for that. It spends, and which means that we're going to spend from a market perspective as much as we did in previous years, because we're expecting that to either soften a little bit more or kind of plateau. One thing certain is we're not going to see as strong of growth probably over the next 3 quarters as we have seen in the last 2 years. But if we maintain the growth that we picked up over the last 3 to 4 years, that's still significantly higher. So looking back to 2019, for instance, comparatively, that was what everybody's really looking at as the last normalized year. We did about 7.9 million total in hotel tax revenue to the CDB. So if we do the same as we did last year, we'd be at 15 million. So that's double. And if you divide that by 3%, right, because we're charging 3% per month, that's hundreds of millions in additional revenues being brought into the openers. So those are really the big stories. And of course, this is available for your view and public view. And I'm happy to just answer any questions that you may have. I'm sorry I truncated that a little bit.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job, you always have.
Thank you, John.
Tourism is our #1 industry, and the reason it is because of the leadership that you show. We appreciate that very much. Okay, press and public comment. Seeing none? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.